Hey guys, it's Cedar. I am here for Mind Over Matter, the psychology of trading. So we rescheduled today a little bit later in the day to try to catch a little bit of the lead into the FOMC rate decision announcement that's coming up in 45 minutes. And then, of course, Powell as he starts chipping his teeth at 2:30 p.m. and especially into the Q&A. So scanning back through Market Talk, the first thing I wanted to do was see if there was any questions while I was out in my appointment. I don't think there was, but let's make sure. If you did have any specific questions you want me to talk about today, I always have a plan for, what I'm seeing people struggling with, what I'm struggling with, what we're all doing in our trading, and then go from there. So just a quick little scan. And tagging me is the best way because that's the quickest way for it to pop up. Give me a notification. Looks like we got some more of our familiar faces joining us in Market Mastermind. So welcome to you guys, and thank you to everyone who's been here since we opened and everybody in between. Okay, it doesn't look like there's any specific questions, so I'm just going to hop right into it then. Shadow says he had something come up. He should be back in time for FOMC. He'll be in voice, but on mobile, so not expecting him. He had a little one last week before, about 10 days ago. So number 8 was added to the Shadow family. And so he's been out on paternity leave and trading a little bit, but it's awesome to have him around when he can. And I know that you're off your regular time, Shadow, so no worries as far as that goes. Okay, so just we talked about the hero complex the last two recordings that we did. So the last two sessions definitely went into who are we trading for. If you missed those, there are 30-minute recordings inside the Psychology Risk Management channel in Market Mastermind and on the YouTube channel. So what I wanted to talk about is ego and the hero complex to kind of lead into what needs to be managed as far as your trading account. So the ego part of wanting to be right is one of the most deadly things that you can ever allow into your psyche. So it's really important that you own your ideas. And there is this human pattern that we happen to fall into of only remembering the parts we were good at, only remembering the things that we did well and blocking out the pain, which is good because that's how humans came to be where they are in this world, as far as the struggle of failure and, that try again. And it especially pertains to those of us who are successful in our businesses, in our lives outside of trading, because typically the harder you work, the more successful you are. Trading is the absolute inverse of that. The harder you work, the more you end up over trading. The smarter you work, and you should be working smart in your business as well, but sometimes just some good old elbow grease in your job. You dig in and, your task isn't getting done and you're going to dig in and help the team, get through that project or whatever that is, depending on what you do for your regular job. If your trading business is struggling, the digging in should be done looking at your journaling, should be reflecting on your executions, not on actually doing the thing that makes you money, or if you're in a rough patch. And we did have, what was the rough patches episode? That was May 22nd, dealing with rough patches when you take multiple, it's not just a day or two of losing, but a streak of you're in trouble and not doing well. So if you want to go back and watch that one, May 22nd. But we want to get really drilled down into the concept behind what makes a trader successful. And we are 90% preparation and 10% performance. That's the same as any professional performer. If you have a sports star, or you have a ballerina, or you have a pianist, anybody that is performing studies, practices over and over again till they're so sick of doing it that it's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And if you've ever been a performer, like on stage or something along those lines, by the time you get to the actual performance, you they're memorized and you're so sick of hearing them in your head, especially after you go over through performance, that there's no excitement, there's no joy in it, but you have to figure out how to give the audience joy. So if we look at that from a trading perspective, there shouldn't be excitement, there shouldn't be entertainment. Now, I love to watch charts, so the entertainment is in, did I see the market well? Did I execute well in relation to that? So that part gets me excited. And if I'm not seeing it well or I'm not executing well, then I get upset. It's not tied to the money, because if you're positioned properly, size wise, it doesn't hurt you. Now, it's never fun to lose money, not saying that that's anything, but the joy in the execution of a losing trade. So if you lose and you manage your risk well, where you didn't let it run away with you and get out of hand and oversize, there is joy in that you did not use all your ammunition and now not be able to trade after something like FOMC or new all-time high, as we're seeing. So we want to really focus on tying how we feel about trading, not to your P&L, but to your executions, to your ability to manage your account. And you can know what the rules are and not follow them. So you should get excited when you follow your rules, even if it's a losing kind of day. So stopping yourself out instead of adding and oversizing, choosing to go, okay, I've had a couple losses in a row, where my rules are, if they're 3 in a row, I'm done trading. I'm happy, I'm pleased if I follow those rules, even if it's a losing day. And yesterday, I definitely did not trade as well as I have been for the last couple of weeks, but it doesn't really matter, because ultimately this is a game of probabilities, right? So one day that is moderately red compared to other days that are 10, 5, 15% on an account really don't matter at all. They're a cost of doing business. So the excitement comes from the fact that you didn't wipe yourself out. You did not wreck yourself. The term I use all the time is keeping your powder dry. So if you're trying to be a hero, you are continuing to add, you have to be right. And so I want you to write this down if you haven't heard me say this. Do you want to be right or do you want to be rich? If you want to be right, you will not be rich. If you want to execute well, cut your losing trades, and identify when you're struggling, and then lean in or pedal to the metal. And when you are trading well, make sure that you are pressing that advantage. That's really the key. Knowing yourself, knowing when you need to pull it back, knowing when you need to step away, close the screens, and knowing when, yes, I've already had 10 trades today, but 9 of them were green. Then I'm going to keep trading. And then once I take a loss, I will stop trading. So the balance out between somebody who's over trading and somebody who is pressing their advantage is kind of a, right? It's a gray area. How do you decide that? And some people will say, I'm only taking 3 trades today, or first loss, I quit. It really doesn't matter, as long as you pick some set of rules or something that you can abide by, that you will absolutely categorically follow. And there's some type of repercussion if you don't. And those of you that have been around for a while have heard me talk about this. I am a hard learner. I require a lot of pressure. I don't just do stuff, that is entertaining. I actually have to have a punishment if I break the rules. And there's been many sessions we've talked about that. I'll just do a quick summary. If I break the rules, I don't get to trade tomorrow. If I break the rules again after that, I don't get to trade for a week. So let's say Monday, I break my rules. Doesn't matter if I'm profitable or not. I could have a huge day. Broke my rules, I don't get to trade on Tuesday. Come back on Wednesday. If I break my rules again on that day back, I now don't get to trade for a whole week. I can come back and trade the next Tuesday. And these are self-imposed. This is me being my own risk manager. And I had to do this to myself as a newer trader, struggling with self-control, willpower, all of that stuff. If on that Tuesday when I come back after that 5 days of timeout from trading, if I break my rules on Tuesday, I'm now on timeout for a month. And I don't know about you, I love trading. I never get tired. I dream about charts even now, 22 years into the first time I ever traded QQQ. That was February of 2002. If you don't love the charts, you're going to have a hard time doing this. What I love about it is that I can step away from it. I can come back to it. I can always find something somewhere, right? If you find trading fatiguing, you're probably oversized. You're probably in a stressful situation money-wise or something along those lines that's going to create some issues as far as executions. So there's lots of pieces that you have to take into account. But for me, those rules that I just outlined were because I kept breaking my rules. I would write them, I would have them, and I would not follow them. And I would, be done with my options trading day. So, at the end of RTH, the 4:15 close, and have blown another account or have been down $1,000 when I really needed to, like, please just let me break even today, because at that point maybe I was struggling to, maybe not huge losses but consistent profitability. So depending on where you are in your journey, you want to visualize how you're going to feel if you close the day either with the account blown or not preserving the small amount because you had 200 and let's say you had $286 in profit, and your daily goal, which is why I don't like daily goals, your daily goal is 300. So you went and traded and you gave it all back and maybe even took a small loss instead of being happy with your 280 something dollars. So what we want to focus on is taking what the market gives us, trading the setups that present, and if they're invalidated, you walk away from them. And it's huge. So if you need to have somebody in your life be able to hold you accountable for that, we have talked about this as well. Maybe it's a spouse, maybe it's not. A lot of times spouses get a little stressed out in trading. A lot of times those personalities that do well in a relationship, maybe both don't do well trading. Definitely seen that be the case. But somebody that you trust that can lock you out of your trading account if you broke your rules, and that you respect enough that you will actually tell them you broke your rules. And it all is going to just come back ultimately. Oops, it sounds like we've got somebody unmuted. Let me just double check. Oh, Shadow, you're unmuted. So if you want to throw the mute on, and if not, I'll server mute you and catch up with you later. I wasn't sure if you knew that. Okay, I went ahead and put that mute on. So really what's going to boil back to everything is, as soon as you think you're a good trader, and we're not even going to talk about a great trader, as soon as you think you're a good trader, you're dead. It's over. And Paul Tudor Jones talked about this. Don't be a hero, no ego, always question yourself. If you think you're good, you are dead. So it's not just me saying that. What you need to think is you're only as good as your last trade, and you need to live to fight another day. As soon as you start seeing the account growing, which is why I suggest traders take the profits out of their account very regularly. I do it once a month because this is not my only primary source of income, although I am a full-time trader and it does make me the most income. I suggest you take your profits out every day or every week or twice a week, something like that. If you have a big day, get it out of your account. Because what happens is you wake up the next morning and you're a rock star. Your brain's like, yeah, look how smart I am. And that doesn't mean you're smart. Making money doesn't mean you're smart. I know some of the smartest people I know are the least successful traders I know. PhDs, crazy good, like physicists, business owners, because they're used to being good at what they do. instead of stepping back and saying, okay, I'm not executing well, I'm going to back up. Me as a business owner, if I know I'm good at what I do from an ownership perspective of service-based businesses. Can't believe I'm an owner of a Discord now, but here we are. Really tried to avoid this for many years, but anyway, that's what my businesses are outside of this, electrical and fitness. If something isn't working well, I can lean in and work harder at it. If trading isn't working well, I'm going to close the screens. And that's counterintuitive to somebody that has a problem to solve, to somebody that has a great work ethic. So we want to go back to no heroes, no ego. And how you live to fight another day is that you step back and assess, you question yourself. It's huge. So turned 48 earlier this week, and I talked about this some a couple years ago, but I think what's really important is looking at age and perspective. I started trading in my 20s. And of course, life experience and all that fun stuff, being a parent, being a business owner, all that stuff definitely, the being a business owner was actually better to happen after becoming a trader. Had I been a business owner prior to becoming a trader, I think I would have struggled with it even more. Or maybe that's what made me being an owner, was why I did well. I don't know. I think learning the risk management of trading before operating a business was good, even though I learned the lesson slow, because had I opened the business and used more of that elbow grease, that hard work ethic that is just naturally ingrained in me, I may not have made it through as a trader, because I'm that hard-headed personality that I'll just keep going. So if you're finding yourself, wherever you're starting trading, you might be in your teens, you might be in your 30s, you might be in your 60s. I know people who retire from their day job and they've been massively successful in their career and come into trading and are like, well, I'm paying to hang out and not like membership, but losing money consistently over years and years and years. It's time for you to step back and say, just because something made me good at one thing doesn't automatically mean that I'm going to be good at trading. Just because my IQ is, and you can fill in the blank, just because I've successfully done this doesn't mean I'm going to be good at trading. You just leave the ego at the door. And the good news is your ego is going to hop on your back. Like, you're not going to forget it and then it's gone forever. And a little bit of ego is a healthy thing as part of the human psyche. It's excessive ego, of course. Huge difference between self-confidence and ego. But your ego is going to be there. You have to figure out how to rein it in. And so at 48, instead of wishing that I was 18, which I hear that all the time. Oh, it sucks getting old. Okay, it takes me longer to warm up for my workouts now. I'm definitely a little stiffer. I've always not been a very flexible person, but it's different. But instead of wishing that I was 18, because this is not my 18-year-old body, 18-year-old, I think I actually have as much energy as I did at that age, but that's because I choose to exercise regularly and eat healthy and get enough sleep, all that fun stuff. I pretend to myself mentally, I pretend that I'm 90 and I've woken up again at this age. So think about that. If we change our perspective, if you think, okay, if I were 90 and I woke up now at 48 or 45 or 30 or even 60, how much could you take forward in changing the path of what you're traveling from now to 90? And hopefully, as longevity gets better and better, everyone will make it to 90. Who knows? In my family, half of them make it to middle 60s and the other half make it to like 105. So I don't know. We'll see. But pretending like I'm 90 and that I woke up where I am right now helps me be thankful and grateful and feel blessed without having to focus on it. And if you're struggling feeling those three emotions, thankful, grateful, and blessed, regardless of where you are. If you're here listening to this stream, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's in Discord, I promise you are blessed compared to some people on this earth. And so the term first world problems, there's a lot of people that do not have the benefit of what you have right now, even if you have that feeling of, I want more, I want more. And being driven is a beautiful thing. We definitely want to be, working towards becoming better versions of ourselves. But if you don't stop, if you don't step back and go, thank you, right? And sometimes it's thank you for the opportunity to learn. And sometimes it's thank you for that breather or whatever it is, but find something to be thankful for, something to be grateful for. Because if you don't, you're going to find yourself having less. So, let's see, let me think about this. So I originally started talking about this with the trading group when I was 45. So 3 years in, what would be my collective look back, even from 48, if I could wake up at 45 again, right? 3 years of trading, lots more volatility. What am I thankful that I've learned from this? I actually enjoy day trading a lot more. As I came into 2020, I liked day trading, but it was, I liked swing trading. It was kind of a 50-50, but I preferred swings. And now I've actually kind of come into a lot more enjoyment of the day trading and not as worried about the volatility. So what you want to ask yourself is 3 years ago, 5 years ago, if you could go back and tell yourself those things, how much better you were at whatever it is, it might be a beautiful thing from a reflection perspective going back. I want to make sure I'm not running over on time. So we've got 22 minutes until FOMC starts. Ultimately, what I want you to get out of today is that there is always going to be more to learn. As soon as you think you're good, you stop learning. So the acronym is ABL, always be learning, and ACH, anything can happen. As soon as you think, I got this, you're probably going to be in trouble. And as long as you wake up every day and go, what can I learn today? You're probably going to be okay. And that applies to everything in life, everything across the board, from trading to relationships to food. It's everything. And the more you can not have the stress of trading interfere in your outside life by oversizing, by making impulsive or compulsive. So impulsive, right? I'm just going to go click it without doing analysis. Compulsive is you know better and you do it anyway. They're both really dangerous in trading. And one of the reasons I moved the Mind Over Matter over to a little bit later as we headed into, hold on just a sec. Okay, Shadow's DMing me. Okay, I can unmute him. As we're headed into FOMC is I wanted to make sure we get the head straight. You don't need to be gambling. If you want to be a successful trader, if you want to have trading be your side gig, you don't need to be trading all the news. You don't need to be in the market at all times. If you want to equate it to the gambling analogy, even though you guys hear me say this all the time, I don't like to, because there is a difference in how you approach it. If you walk into a casino and you know you're a good blackjack player because you know the odds, that doesn't mean you sit down right away and put money on the table. Same thing with trading. Just because you walked in the location, so maybe it's your trade room, that doesn't mean that you have to sit down and put money on the table. You do not have to be in a trade the whole time. And one of the best ways of thinking about, like, you don't have to be in a position is that really you're always in a position if you've got cash to be able to trade. So cash is a position, but you do not have to be in a trade at all times. And especially if you're stressed by things outside, if you're something going on in the family, something going on in work outside of trading, financial struggles, anything that's distracting. For me, when I was in my home office that was inside the house prior to the remodel that we did, every time somebody walked by, because the office was like off to the side in the house, but it was not a locked door, it would disrupt me because I'm used to having, as when my trading room was at my gym, I just had my locked CEO office and nobody came in. It was just, nobody even knew if I was in there. Where at home, people walking by, because I wasn't used to paying attention to that, would distract me and it would interfere in my focus. And so being out in my private, completely contained area that has the on air sign, then when I'm ready to engage with the family, I can turn that off and they can come in and visit if they want, or whatever. But while that's on, it's a controlled space. So making sure that your focus as you're trading, whether it's during a volatility and news drop item like we're about to run into for this afternoon, or just regular daily concepts. If you're trading in your office, you want to make sure that you're not putting yourself in a position where somebody could walk in and you're not going to be able to look at your screens, or that you have the stops in place and that you trust your trade enough that you have the stops and the take profits, that the trade will manage itself, especially if you can't give it your 100% undivided attention. Super critical things to do. So as we head into the rate decision coming up in 18 minutes, this is your reminder to take a big breath, sit back in your chair, and say, wow, it's really relaxing not having a position on. Or it's really relaxing, I've got a tiny position on, so small size with a wide stop, so I'm not blowing my account out. So maybe like one MES, if you have to be trading, if you have that feeling of like, I really have a conviction that this is going to happen with this event, a small size with a wide stop gives it the room so that you can be participating without wiping yourself out. Just make sure that that smaller size and wider stop is less or even half of what your normal risk exposure is on a position. It is critical that you have something left to trade tomorrow. So think to yourself, if I overtrade and have to like get new prop accounts or wire more money into my trading account, or this is my last $500, $100,000, $2,000, $50, whatever it is you have in your trading account, if that's your last money, if it's less than a couple of grand, my suggestion is you shouldn't be trading it. You should be learning how to trade, but you really shouldn't be trading it. And if you are, it's super small positions. And as you get less than those amounts, it starts to become harder and harder to properly position size and cause you trouble as far as getting used to trading too big a size in relation to your account. So Vico just shared something in Market Talk, and it's a picture that says JOMO as a noun, joy of missing out, feeling content with staying in and disconnecting as a form of self-care. Yep, absolutely. So not having to be somebody who's not super social, who's an introvert, that is in social situations, whether it's work or being around a lot of people and needs a little bit of just me time or quiet time, is the same thing as sitting on your hands. I love, love, love it. I have never seen that before. Thank you for posting it. All right, checking to see if I have any other questions or any DMs. It doesn't look like I have anything. So we're at about 45 minutes for the Mind Over Matter. I'm going to go ahead and shut off the recording, and I'll post this on YouTube so you guys can listen to it later if you're just catching it as you're coming in. And I will be on voice into the rate decision and the Powell speech. I'll post the link for the Powell speech in just a little bit, and we'll see if we can find some setups as things mellow out following all of that fun. So here's to a great trading week, trading month, trading year, and thank you so much for hanging out. We'll catch you guys next week as far as the next Mind Over Matter.